Do you think UGC is the best way how to make money right now on the internet?
I think as like a beginner going into social media, I think UGC is the easiest way to kind of break into making money online on social media anyways. Yeah.
And why do you think it's so like easy?
The thing with like UGC is like it's so low bar. Like you don't need to have a massive following because I think when I first started making content, um, I thought brand deals were like the only way to like make money, or you gotta sell something and you have gotta have like some sort of experience in coaching. But the thing with UGC is like these brands will literally just like, which stands for user generated content. They just pay you money to basically make videos for them, and you don't need any sort of niche experience. Because I think something that people are realizing now is that like these brands they can like make these like ads and stuff like that. But I think people really buy through people. So I think like UGC is such wait, sorry, I messed up my words. It's like such a
No.
low bar thing. You don't need like a lot of experience. And really I think most of these opportunities in UGC, they really just look for like good yapping ability, like being able to talk to a camera. Like you don't need a massive following. So I think that's why it's so valuable.
Yeah, I get it, and I think a lot of people are right now talking about UGC and how to make money through it, and it kind of like, first of all, it kind of like goes through my mind even I talk to some people about it, like how can actually make people from it, and how does a person actually get into it, so we can talk about that, and then more of yeah, it's been like a pattern that I've seen that always when there's some new kind of side hustle around and people start talking about it a lot, it kind of stops working when everybody starts doing it and starts like talking about it. So we can get into that too. But
Mm.
first of all, like, how do you think people can make their first dollar on with UGC, and how they should start if they are like beginner with this?
I think like as a beginner, the most important thing is to just get reps in. So like let's say you have zero experience with UGC or like any sort of content creation in general. I think the first step is just post your first video. And so there's different ways you can go about it. You can either start like a personal brand and just start posting your own videos, or like I think the path of least resistance, like the easiest way to do this is to just start making like something called demo videos. So that's just like you like pick random things in your house and make videos like demoing these products. And the purpose of doing this is like you can show you have the ability to like promote something. So you don't actually need like experience. You can make your own experience. So like that's what most people are doing now is like they're making demo videos like that in their house. Personally for me, I started making content as like a personal brand thing for fun. And then I discovered what UGC was. I was like, oh, I kind of want to get into that. And then I managed to get a position through just applying. So as a beginner, I'd recommend if you want to get into UGC, I'd recommend making demo videos on your profile, and then also just applying to everything. Just shoot your shot to everything. Because again, like the main thing that these companies want for, actually, wait, as a beginner, I think like the easiest opportunity for UGC is like tech AI UGC because these companies don't have to like send out like a physical product or anything, right? They
No.
just all it is like a digital product and they lose nothing from that. So by applying to like these low but like low hanging fruits, I think that's the easiest way to get into it for sure.
Yeah, I do agree, and I've heard like other creators talking about that they are either is it applying, and there are some brands or companies that help you with those UGC deals, and some other creators are promoting those. Like, have you ever tried or heard about it?
Heard about
Like, I heard there are these like companies, or I don't know if companies, but just yeah, I think it's companies that help you like just you apply like to the company or something, and they will give you, the UGC deals if like they have any or something like that.
yeah, so most of these companies that like have applications will be like these tech AI UGCs, so like apps like Cluely and Turbo, like these AI tools will host like programs that you can apply to. It costs nothing to apply, and really what they're looking for is confidence on camera and being able to speak clearly and basically demo a product. You don't really need good editing skills because most of these videos are like organic looking. So that would be like if I were to put my phone down and just speak to the camera like I'm speaking to you right now.
Okay. And how do you think people can build like confidence, especially if somebody is like insecure and doesn't like to talk to camera at all? How do you think they like can build the confidence, and especially when there are other people around, and maybe what will other people think about them and all of that?
That's a really good question. um, when I first started, I was like really scared to post because the main thing is I was scared of people I know seeing my videos.
Yeah.
And I think something that I think everyone struggles with is like the first post. Because as soon as you post that, everyone sees it, especially on Instagram. But I think that's like the biggest hurdle, but it's also the easiest to get over because all you have to do is just press the post button. And once you posted that, I think that fear of posting goes away and you slowly build confidence through just increased reps. So just like posting all the time. So like my advice to somebody going through that would obviously be post your first video. But as a beginner, I think posting every day is probably one of the best ways to experience like really quick growth because you're just every day you're reinforcing that like mindset. I think it's really like a big mindset thing in terms of confidence. And, in terms of speaking to a camera and getting confidence in doing that, because I was really scared to do it and it felt really awkward at first. One bit of advice that I got from a video from Mino Lee and also Gabe Melagrio, which I think you spoke to before.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
is
spoke
like
to
just
him.
speaking to like the phone, like it's like a FaceTime. So like most people film on their phone, right? And when you're speaking to someone, you're speaking naturally. Like I think when you get too deep in your head, you kind of like overthink it, and then it just, bro, it doesn't sound real. And I think just imagine like you're speaking to your friend through the phone. It's really like you're speaking to a viewer. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's my advice.
I mean, like especially the first video is like the most important one, but essentially the worst one you will ever post. It is only gets better from that. And like maybe advice that helped me was like if you really I didn't have problem with like random people on internet seeing my videos. I had like as you said the problem with the people I know seeing my videos, and I couldn't get through that. But there's like this really great option on Instagram, and it's called like blocking people. So I
Yeah.
think like many people can try that, and it kind of takes away a lot of the pressure that you have from like all of it. But of course, I think it is better to do without it because you will build the confidence like faster a little. But if there's nothing else to do, then like blocking people like is a like some of a good option too. And yeah, I spoke to like I've seen a lot of videos about Mino, and I spoke to like Gabe, and they're making like a lot of these videos about the UGC and technology too, and that like gave me a thought that like isn't it really oversaturated right now? Because when when I at least like wanted to try some side hustle and I saw everybody doing it, like I had this feeling that oh, there is no place for me there no more. So what do you think about that?
I don't think UGC will be saturated purely because companies are always in like need of people to market their products. And even now with like AI, I don't think AI is at a place yet where like it can replace like real human beings. Because I think people buy from people they like, right? People follow people that they like. And I don't think AI can replicate that. because I think personality and like just human speaking is just so powerful. And I think companies will just, I think there will always be a need for like marketing from real people.
Yeah. I think that too, and I wanted to even get to like even the AI stuff because I think it's like everybody's talking about it right now. Everybody's making like these AI videos and AI shorts. I think it's kind of a side hustle now too, and of course it is like essential marketing principle that people buy from people, not from businesses, and now that applies to especially in the content creation age. So probably that, and let's say that maybe UGC is not for everybody because it's not like what would you say are the other like things or side hustles people can try, or even when you like have some experience in like content creation and all of that, like what's the next step? Because I don't know if like it is possible or people want to like do UGC forever. I think there's like this next step that people like kind of can look into.
Mm. I actually really agree. And about like, I don't think UGC will be around forever because I think UGC will always be at like the side hustle level, right? And something
Yeah.
that my friend Andrew Lin, what he said to me that like I've literally remembered for the past like however long it's been, like for the past few months, it's just like, bro, what if UGC died today? Like, what if like it got banned? Like, what would you do? But you gotta realize that like by doing UGC, by creating content, you're developing a skill set. So that's speaking to a camera, like the ability to yap is like storytelling. And part of like making content is editing as well and understanding what gets attention and how to keep it. So those are skills that you can develop that you can use in other aspects as well. But as like a content creator, like the obvious thing would be brand deals, but I think brand deals are only really powerful or like consistent when you have like a bigger following. But also, but as like a smaller creator, I don't think they're as consistent or as reliable. Um, in terms of other side hustles you could do, I know I have a friend who does like clipping, um, which is like you basically make like you cut up clips of like live streamers and like influencers and post them, which is just another form of marketing. And to be really good at that is also using that skill of knowing what gets attention and what how you can keep it. So like those viral clips and stuff, you've probably seen it of like I don't know, I Show Speed and like
Yeah,
Jason Lim
yeah,
and stuff like
like a
that.
lot of them.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think that like people are actually getting paid to do these things, right? Because it just shows up on your feed page and you just kind of like watch it without thinking. But that's the goal. You want people to watch these things without thinking like so hard about it. Because when I feel like when viewers think too hard, like they just swipe away.
True. Uh, uh, I want to like get into this content creation stuff, but even before, like as you said, like UGC will not be here forever, and I think there's like this content creation skill, but there is even with the applications and maybe like outreaching to brands and people, there is like this kind of sales and marketing skill, especially when doing like promoting all of those stuff and make it like feel natural, and wanted to like what things did you learn like it helped you the most on your journey and you think like brands liked about like you and your yapping that and like your skill set that kind of made you money the most, or like what marketing tricks or yapping tricks, storytelling, whatever did you use mainly like in your
Mm.
content?
There's a couple things that I learned, but there's two that really like that I always remember. So one thing is speaking to the camera in a natural way, because I think a lot of these UGC opportunities, I'll give you a script and you should like kind of work around it. But I think the mistake a lot of people make is like reading the script like bar for bar and not reading it in their own voice. Because I think people can like subconsciously realize when you're just reading through like a script. So I think learning to speak in your own voice by just kind of like tapping in to that ability to yap to a camera like you're speaking to a friend, like a FaceTime. I think that's like one of the most important things I've learned through UGC, and something that I learned through Mino Lee is something called like perceived value on a video. So like when a viewer sees your video, they kind of assess subconsciously what they're gonna get from the video. Like what value am I gonna get from watching this video? Because they're using their attention and their time on this video, right? So that that value isn't necessarily just information. It could be entertainment. Like if it's funny, then I'll watch this video because I want to see what's funny, right? Or like it could be information, or like the viewer's basically thinking, is this video worth my time? Like, is this worth my like monkey brain points on like doom scrolling on my phone, or should I just swipe to the next reel that might actually give me what I want? So how you apply that to UGC is because every single UGC video you're gonna plug some sort of product. So you gotta keep the viewer there long enough to want to see that product. So part of that is the hook, which is like the first like 3 to 5 seconds of the video. Because if your hook is bad, they're not gonna want to stay. The hook basically gives the viewer a reason to want to hear what you have to say or want to see what you have to show. So having a strong hook is probably the best way to do that. What is the best way to do that?
Yeah. Or what do you think are the best ways how to hook people, especially nowadays? Because, like, I think the like classic kind of strategies people used, of course, like there are some like human nature principles that work always, but I think the strategies are always changing, and there are always like new ways. Like there's visual hook, there's this like verbal hook, like what you say, and like how all of that works together. Because I think like most people and most content creators like spend the most time on the hook, which is like of course, because if you don't hook the people, then they will not stay, and the rest of the video can be great. And yeah, how basically you think about like making a like good hook, like in general?
I think people like toss around these like terms like visual hook and verbal hook and stuff like that. And those are true, those do work, but I think those things don't hit as hard if you don't know who you're speaking to. Right. So if you have like an ideal viewer persona, right? Who's this person, this ideal viewer that you want to see this video? Who's your target audience? Who's your ideal customer? So if we were to say like, I don't know, like let's say we were doing UGC for like a study app, like an AI study tool, then our ideal viewer will probably be students. So I think like, okay, what kind of students are we looking at? Probably like around like 18 to 20 if they're in like university, right? 18 to 21. So then that makes you start to think like, okay, they're probably like a little bit brain rotted. They're probably not that serious, but they still want to do well in school. So I would use terms and stuff like that I know because I'm in that target demographic, right? I would use things that I think would hook me and terms that would hit my brain. Stuff like brain rot terms and stuff like that, or like Snapchat hooks that kind of target that like ideal viewer. So that kind of influences what kind of visual hooks and what are the things that I say that would gather attention, right? I would talk about like current things like I don't know, like clavicular and stuff like that. Like all these things that kind of like target my brain as like the ideal viewer.
Yeah. Makes sense, honestly. And especially when most people are like with content or with their product, you see they're like, I'm creating content for everybody. Well, then you're basically creating content for nobody.
Yeah.
And like that's how it works. Because when you have like specific, even it goes like that in self-improvement and goals, when you have a clear goal in mind and you know through what you're doing, then it is like a better chance that you will hit it, basically. And to get into like to like move to more of a content side a little, you were talking about storytelling and like all of these persuasion editing skills, and I want to get more into that, into how you think about, yes, we now have like the persona we are talking to, and how would you structure the story or the video that it would capture them, and like make them stay throughout the video? How do you think about storytelling when now you have, the person, like your ideal viewer in mind, and how you go about the whole structure of the video?
Mm. Okay. So, okay, cool. So we have like our ideal viewer persona, right? So we know exactly who we want to speak to. So if we were to say like for like a UGC video for like an AI study tool again, right? Um, so target demographics, probably myself. So I'll say something. Uh, your hook basically wants to give like some sort of perceived value where they'll see the video and um, they'll just be like, okay, I want to stay to hear what this guy has to say. And then um, maybe you can go through like some sort of process where I kind of go through this storytelling principle called Freytag's model. This is like a basic storytelling principle that I kind of learned uh, like a lot of films and like stories use, where you kind of start with the hook slash exposition. You kind of build it up like you're building up the problem, so people understand like okay, why, what kind of thing, like the context and the problem, and then this peak of the model is where you kind of give the solution. So the solution could be I use this AI study tool to help me study, and it shows me flashcards and stuff or whatever, right? And then as the peak comes down, you're kind of explaining like your new normal, and like okay, so now I can study really well because of this thing, and then the end will just be like your CTA or like your call to action. So you basically say like it's called this, so go check it out. So I think if you were to analyze like films or books or anything, a lot of them use some sort of basic storytelling principle like Freytag's model or like the hero's journey. Um, I think the Freytag's model is like the most basic one, but at the end of the day, every single video is almost like a mini story in that sense.
Yeah. And yeah, I basically, when I was more into the content creation side on Instagram, basically, it was a lot about storytelling and like creating your like little Netflix series, or a lot of people, especially with those day one, day 100, and all of that kind of videos. That was really popular. Instagram back then. And like one last thing to the UGC, because um, with views, how they are paying you, like is it just views, or is it who clicks on the product and buys it, or how like the kind of payment system works? Because even now, like with content, not all views are the same, because some brain rot video can get 1 million views, and then some this like really deep storytelling like video that hits like is honest, hits hard, have like 10,000, but like the 10,000 video makes more money, for example, if the person has a product or coaching. So how the payment like system works, and like how is that working?
In terms of UGC, there's like it depends on the business, right? It depends on what they decide and the contract that you sign. But most of the time, these like tech AI UGC opportunities, which beginners will be getting into, will usually have some sort of base pay, which you just get paid like flat rate if you just post a video. A lot of the time, you need to get at least like 1K views, but I think that's normal, just to ensure that like your account is warmed up properly. So you get a flat rate, and plus you get like performance tiers. So like let's say you post a video and then it gets like 10K views, then you'll get like this pay at this performance tier, not including the base pay. So you just get this. Uh, but then some things like if you were to do like a paid collab, or if you were to do like a paid ad UGC, sometimes it's just like um, one flat pay. It really depends. But I think as a beginner, like you should really be chasing like the tech AI UGCs. But if you're inexperienced, I wouldn't be too picky. My advice to like my friends who are like starting out in UGC is to not be picky, and to any experience you can get, just do it, right? And then once you have like that experience from these opportunities, then you can be a little bit more picky with like what you want to do.
Yeah. And in terms of like just content and building your personal brand, Like, do you think people should chase the virality or building like audience first? And because virality is this thing that I think a lot of people are chasing, but those people who get it are kind of like they are less excited about it than like all of the other people who are trying to get there. Or and a lot of people are comparing it to kind of this sugar rush that is a like really high peak, but then like pretty like goes pretty low and so very fast. So what do you think about like virality, views, and all of that stuff?
I think I think it depends like what you're trying to make content for. Like what's your purpose for making content? Because for a lot of people, like their personal brand is just like a creative outlet. And if that's the case, then I wouldn't really focus on views. I would just kind of get your videos out and develop this skill of making videos, right? Um, for me, like creating content is like a personal outlet, like a creative outlet, but also I do want to take it further and make money from it, obviously. I think like as a beginner starting out as like a personal brand, I would look at like because your For You page is literally like a library of viral videos, right? Instagram doesn't want to push out videos that aren't good. So you've literally got a whole library of videos for you that are going viral for a reason. So I think as a beginner, I would look at these videos and try and like analyze to see like what kind of makes them go viral and try and copy them but twist it like to fit your audience or like your niche or like your ideas. So like my most viral personal brand video, the whole framing, like the whole structure of the video, I just ripped from a different video, but I changed it to fit my niche. So at the time, I was creating videos documenting like side hustle stuff, right? I've kind of moved away from that now, but that was what was at the time my niche. And I got a video which was completely unrelated. It was about like boyfriend maxing, right? Being the best like boyfriend, right? And I just like changed out like the words to fit my niche, and that did well. So I think that's just proof that like variety isn't all random. I think people think like videos go viral at random, but really there is some sort of like science to it, right? Because this structure works in the sense that it makes people want to hear what you have to say. A good storytelling structure. And I think part of that is also like just like stories, like you are like the main character of your videos. Like as if like you're the main character of like a film.
And you talked a lot about like niche and what's your niche. How do you think people like should pick their either is it niche or they should just make videos about whatever it comes to their mind, or it comes back into like what's your purpose with or what's your like main goal with this content creation, like all of that, like how can a person can like pick a good niche?
I think as a beginner, like when I first started, I was so confused about this term niche because I didn't know what kind of content I wanted to make. And I was so like focused on, okay, I gotta pump videos out every single day. So then I ended up just posting videos that didn't really make sense, or maybe like, there wasn't any clear value or any clear thing behind this video. But what I realized over time is that your niche is really, if you boil it down, it's going to be some sort of aspect tied towards you, anyways. Same as like your ideal viewer for your personal brand, anyways, will almost always be some sort of version of like your past self, because that's really what you want to talk about. That's really what you're interested in because you know it, you've been through it, right? So I think your niche is really just going to be some sort of interest that you already have. So right now, I'm like, I strayed away from making like videos about boxing because I'm a boxer, right? I strayed away from making videos about boxing for ages. I guess because I was scared to pump it out, like push it out. But then I realized like, wait, this is actually what I really want to talk about. Like, yeah, maybe I want to talk about side hustles. Maybe I want to talk about this. Like, these are all aspects of my life. But your main niche is always going to be some sort of interest that you already have. So like my advice to somebody who's like stuck on what kind of niche they want to do is I would literally just like dissect your own life. Like what are you interested in? And that's going to be your niche, right? I'm sure like you do this podcast because you're interested in like talking to people about these things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I
so
have
like
too many interests. That's why I started the podcast, you know?
yeah. I think as someone who also has like tons of interests, like just because you're interested in multiple things doesn't mean you can't talk about multiple things. I think like, but you should have like an overarching niche, and those things are just part of it, right? Because I was super confused. I wanted to make like Christian content because I'm a Christian ages ago. That's not just because I don't make Christian content doesn't mean I'm not a Christian, by the way. But and doesn't mean you can't talk about it either. So like, I still talk about I still like sprinkle stuff in from other aspects of my life, even though like the main overarching thing isn't necessarily those things. But you're still the main character of your videos, right? So why shouldn't you? Because at the end of the day, your personal brand is you, right? Your niche is you. Your ideal viewer is you. So you should still share those things.
Absolutely. Especially like there's this saying that you are the niche, and I think it's true. But at the same time, you need to have some structure to it because if you're going to make just random videos that most people like will not care about it, and there's this other thing about making your interest interesting to people, so they would watch it, and all of that, you know that comes with the storytelling, with structuring video, and making the like ideal viewer, and I like that goes basically with it. And like you said, like even your friends and all of the people are kind of getting into right now UGC and content creation. So like there's like popped in mind that what would you say like to the people who are starting content like creation, or they are in the content creation and they are stuck in the like 200 300 views jail, and like trying to like make their first like either viral video or make some money or get to this certain amount of followers? Like what's the advice you would give them?
There's there's two bits of advice I'd give to a person that's stuck in like 200, 300 view jail. The first thing is to not focus so hard on the number, because I know like even as like a UGC creator, like you get paid based off views or whatever, like I know that's an aspect of it, but if you focus so hard on the number, you will never be happy. Like you're literally gonna base your happiness based off like a number, which I went through. That's why I say that. um you can't focus like everything on the number. The second bit of advice I'd give to that person is to realize that like you're in 200, 300 view jail for a reason, right? So it's not just random, right? So I would spend some time analyzing the video and seeing what could I have changed to make it better. And like 9 times out of 10 is probably going to be the hook. So I would just look at like the first 3 to 5 seconds of the video and see how can I make this stronger? How can I maybe make it a little bit more specific? Or maybe like how can I basically get this in someone's face to the point where they're just like, okay, right now I have to listen to what this guy has to say. So those are two bits of advice is analyze the video and also don't focus so hard on the number.
Okay. It's pretty cool. And you talk about a lot about like the journey you went through and all of that. Like I need to ask, like, what's your story? Like, how did you start this content creation? Went through these side hustles and like now UGC, now boxing content, like going into college and all of those like million stuff.
Mm, okay. Oh, that's a good question. So I started making content maybe a little over a year ago now. I started a personal brand just because to post videos, just for fun. And actually, wait, no, this story actually goes back way further. So I started a YouTube channel as a kid, and I'd make like Minecraft videos, like I think most people did. And I think that's where like originally I wanted to start making content because I was inspired by like Ryan Higa and I know PewDiePie and all these like creators. I was like, I want to do that too. So I think that like that want has always been there. I've always wanted to do it, but I think what held me back for years was I was just scared of people I know seeing it and making like being made fun of. Like even in high school, like I was scared because I knew these people would make fun of me, so I never did it. Um, but it wasn't until like how I think I was 17 in like high school. Well, in like In the UK, we call it sixth form. Um, but that's when I was just like, okay, right. Now I got to escape the matrix, bro. I got to do something cool, right? So that's when I started trying different like side hustles, right? So like Iman Gaji on YouTube would say, do SMMA. So I tried SMMA for like 2 months and gave up because like I because whatever, right? And then I tried drop shipping because this guy on YouTube said you should do drop shipping and all these things. And these things didn't last because I think what the thing that they all had in common was I was just chasing money. I was just like, I need to make money because I want to escape the matrix, right? I had that some sort of ambition, but the motivation was wrong. I just wanted money, right? So those things didn't go very well. But then when I think I started university at 18, and I actually failed my first year of uni, right? And then I was like, okay, because I was so fixated on this idea of I need to escape the matrix. I don't care about university, bro. Bun university, like I'm not gonna do it. But then I wasn't doing anything with my time, so I wasn't going to university. Well, I was, but I wasn't going to my classes. I didn't pay attention because I was like, I'm gonna escape the matrix in my head, but I wasn't doing anything to escape the matrix, right? Um,
Yeah.
and then so I failed my first year of uni. I wasn't surprised at all. um, and then I had to repeat my first year of uni again. So basically got held back a year. And that's when I started making social media like content. Like that's when I started my personal brand because I was like, right, I've always wanted to do this. Why am I so scared? I'm just gonna do it. Um, so I basically had a whole restart. I restarted uni. I was like, I'm gonna do this. And then I was probably making I had no idea about UGC at the time. I thought like, okay, the goal of this is I'm gonna blow up and then I'm gonna like sell a course,
Yeah.
or like I'm gonna get a bunch of brand deals or something, right? And it wasn't until like I think 3 or 4 months into creating my personal brand that I realized what like I learned what UGC was, and then I just started applying, and I eventually got my first UGC role. I was like, oh wow, this is actually sick. And my first like income came in. It was like a small thing. I think it was like £200, which I don't know what that is in like USD or whatever, but that's not a whole lot. But that was like the most eye opening thing ever because I was like, yo, this is actually like online money is actually real. I was just like, damn, that's crazy. So then I started doing UGC, and now I'm kind of like on and off with like personal branding content. But yeah, that's basically my story. And I think the difference why I actually made money from UGC rather than like drop shipping, SMA or whatever like the Escape the Matrix people told me was that I think I chased passion first and I think money follows, right? Because I think if you're passionate about anything, you're gonna want to get through like these challenges, right? So like with SMA, I was doing it well, I was doing it, right? Right,
Yeah.
like I wasn't doing anything. But when things got hard or when I didn't understand something or whatever, I didn't try and seek out an answer to those things. I just gave up because I didn't care about it enough to want to seek those answers, right? But when I found content, I was just like, wait, this is actually fun because I enjoy it and it's something that I actually like. When it gets hard, when these challenges come and I don't understand something or like there's like an obstacle, I'm like, okay, I actually want to try to get past it. And that's when I think money follows when you just chase passion. A lot of people will tell you that passion means nothing. Like you gotta escape the matrix, bro. You gotta make money. But like I think if there's no passion, you're not gonna want to do that anyways. You're just gonna give up. I think.
Yeah, I really agree because like especially when you're doing something hard, if you don't love it, I think you will give up because most of the time it's like it's really hard and you need to love it for you to just stay with it. And
Mm.
honestly, my journey is pretty similar. Started a lot of this escape the matrix. I need to make so much more money, and I even got like into content creation into that. But I kind of stayed because I started loving it, not because I wanted to make money.
Mm.
And that was basically it. And now I'm here doing a podcasting and all of that. So I think it went pretty good, and like with that, you were talking about like you failed your first year at uni. Like how did that feel, or like what was that moment that I actually like need to start doing something. This is the like change I'm going to make.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I failed my first year of uni, and like because obviously I failed all my exams, right? Well, almost all of them. I think I passed like two. Um, and I remember like looking at it. I wasn't surprised at all because I knew I didn't put in any work for these uni exams because in my head I was like, I'm gonna escape the matrix, bro. I don't need uni. Like all these time people tell me you don't need uni and stuff like that. And, I was just like, yeah, I was a sucker for it. I loved it. I loved that idea, but like it really hit me when I opened up the results. Right, I wasn't surprised that I failed, but I also like realized that well, I'm saying all this stuff about like I don't need uni, but like if you didn't have uni right now, let's say you didn't fail, let's say you got kicked out. Let's say you got kicked out of uni. What would you have? And you'd have nothing. And that was like the most eye-opening thing. I was just like, right, I gotta lock in, bro. I gotta do something. So when I started my second first year of uni, I was like, I'm gonna just pick something that I want to do. Like as like a side project, as like a hustle, as like a passion project, or whatever. I'm just gonna stick with it. So I chose content creation because I was just like, well, yeah, as a kid, you always wanted to do that, so maybe you should do that. And then I just found out I loved it so much. Uh, yeah, as like even as like an Asian, right, with like Asian parents who are like so obsessive, like you getting a degree, I was just like, shoot. Well, in my head, I was like, I'm gonna skip the matrix, so I don't need a degree. But I was just like, well, what have I got to show for it? I've got nothing to show for it right now. And I like, what if I got kicked out? So that was a big eye opener for me. It's just like, okay, I want to do this. Not for anyone else, not for like money or whatever. I'm just gonna do this because I know that I can put like my own effort into it that I want to put in.
Yeah, and how did the parents react that they like learned that you failed your first year?
It's so crazy because like I think this is just thing with Asian parents, like they like to compare. Obviously parents like to show off their kids, right? I think that that's like a normal thing. But, like they like to compare, right? So like my mom was just like, yo, your cousin didn't fail the first year. Your cousin's doing really well. I was like, yeah, I know, bro. But
Yeah.
I was actually surprised because I thought they'd be like super angry, and like start shouting, but not really. They're more like kind of sad, and that's what like kind of hit me head because I was just like, man, I made my parents sad. Like they're not angry, but they're down. I was like, oh man, right? Because I think it's not the fact that you failed uni, is that like I think it's that thing where they see like, what's my kid gonna do? It's not so much like, oh, you failed uni, that's why I'm sad. It's like I'm scared for your future type thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was. But it was somewhat supportive actually. Even though they were sad, they supported me through these things and like even with content, like they supported me actually putting effort into something. Which is so crazy because like as a kid, I was like pretty good in my classes, right? I was pretty like academic, and then but the thing is, when I was super academic, I had no other passions. I think that's super dangerous, especially as like an Asian kid. Like I think a lot of them fall into like this thing where like they focus so hard on academics that they have no other like life XP. And something I
Hmm.
learned through like doing content creation through boxing is that like there's more to life than just academics, right? And I learned that when I failed my first year of uni. I was just like, man, what have I got other than academics? Because I don't even have that. So um, that's my advice to like younger Harry, bro. Like just get more life XP.
Like get more life XP is real. Especially I've heard this like advice from other podcasts. Even if you get a little bit like too much deep into this self improvement stuff, there's like I think idea of 2D advice and 3D advice. Like 2D advice is all of the even the studying from school and from all the self improvement books, all of the advice and all of that like kind of what you get. But the 3D advice is actually what you get from life. The life XP and the advice you will actually like see. And like the goal for most people is to get like not goal but like the advice for people is to get more of those 3D advice and like life XP because it is really easy to just get and be into the like books and all of the self-improvement stuff and videos but not actually improve your life.
It's actually crazy you say that because I had this conversation with a friend really recently, and it's like I'm thinking back to like when I was like 17 or like 16, right? I was so deep into like this self improvement stuff, but I wasn't improving anything because I wasn't doing anything, right? It's like you feel productive because you're doing these things. And like, yeah, maybe these things are good for you, like taking cold showers, or like, learning things like discipline and stuff that I needed to learn. Those things can only get you like, they're good things, they're good tools, but you don't learn as much by action than just doing, right? And is that life XP, these life lessons that you learn from just doing things. Like when I was doing right SMA and like drop shipping, like I was learning the best way to do this, like the best way to do it. I was like writing these notes down, but I wasn't doing anything. So I think like if you're at like level zero, let's say you're like in like a rut, I think these things that you learn through these self improvement things are good to an extent to get you up to like a certain thing, but past that, like you gotta actually learn things. I remember um I used to watch a bunch of YouTube shorts, right? Like self improvement YouTube shorts. And then like I'm giving these people, like my friends and stuff, advice. And I'm just regurgitating these like YouTube shorts. I'm just saying it word for word. And like I only realize it now because I hear it from other people. I'm like, I know exactly what YouTube short you got that information from, bro. Stop thinking you're special. But like when you can give advice through like your own experience, that's something special, I think. Because like me personally, I'm on YouTube Shorts a lot, right? And I just like I know exactly what YouTube short you got that from, and I don't want to be like that. I want to give like experience, like advice from my own experience.
Yeah, yeah, especially like it's sometimes you write all of those advice like how much you've like improved, but at some point you kind of realize like I need to follow the advice like I've been told telling people to do. And especially I think that comes with content creation too, that many people who are starting content creation are kind of making content creation for content creators, especially when they have like a low amount of followers, and they are just kind of telling the same advice over and over that they heard from this bigger creator.
I did that as well, actually. I
I did
went
that
through that
too.
phase.
I did that
I
too.
went through that phase, and then I was just like, what kind of standing am I at? Like, how can I give advice on this when I haven't been through
Yeah.
that, and I'm not living through that?
I have 100 followers. How am I like telling people like how to make a million like views on their shorts or on their content?
I think people can like sense through like bullshit, or
Yeah,
like they can like sense when you're not legit. And it's that thing that's just like when you speak naturally to a camera, it's because you're being real. It's because you're being like genuine. Um, I think that really shows through your content. People can like see it, you know.
true, true that. And with you said like you now have like boxing, like college, and this like side hustle, like on the side. Like how are you like managing your time and your energy when it comes to that and doing all of those stuff? Like what's your process or like productivity advice on those things?
Um, okay, that's a really good question because I've been through like multiple phases of this, right? So, like my first phase was I'm just gonna do everything, right? So then, like every single block of my day, like time blocking, I blocked every single hour. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. But like the bad thing about that is that you will burn out so quickly, and you won't realize that you don't realize that like you can't get everything done. And I hate saying like, oh, I can't. But realistically, you only have so much time in like one day. But something that like my boxing coach actually told me that's like stuck with me ever since he said it was like, if you really want it bad enough, you'll find a way to do it, right? And I prioritize like I prioritize my tasks throughout the day, and boxing is always like a priority, right? I will never obviously uni now as well because I'm locked in on uni now, but like boxing is always a priority, right? I'll never move that away from anything. Like I'll always do that. And I kind of fit everything else around it. Something that I learned recently from my friend is a phrase called like filling your own cup. Have you heard of that before? Like filling your own cup.
Yeah, like probably, but don't know if I heard it in that sense, like filling your own cup, like in like it's like social skills experience and filling that in, or what do what do you mean by it, basically?
So for me, like what I learned about filling your own cup is that like is to fill your own battery, right? Because at this time when I was like doing everything, I was basically like using my battery, right? And to the point I was like running on empty, bro. Like I was like it was so bad, I was so burnt out. But something I learned by filling your own cup is giving yourself some time to do things that are like good for you just because. So like if that's like, spending an extra bit of time to sleep, or like for me, like even just having like half an hour of doing nothing. Like that has been the most productive thing because like I used to think if I'm not doing something, I'm not productive. But rest is also productive because it's gonna help you be more productive in the time that you're actually doing things. So it's viewing rest as a thing. And obviously some days you're gonna have to sacrifice sleep. Some days you're gonna have to sacrifice things, which is normal, right? I understand that. But if you can help it, I think like giving yourself some time to rest is like so productive and valuable.
Absolutely. And that, like, with like
Wait,
your like,
am I
of course,
frozen?
like you have more years like on uni now. Have you changed your opinion about it? Like, or will you be like, if this like content creation thing pops up or something like that, you will drop out, or you are just like right now locked in and like not going to like do anything with it?
I think I think I'm in too deep to drop out, bro. But you know what? My view on uni has changed a lot actually. When I first started uni, and when like in during that first year where I didn't really care about uni, I used to think that like uni is a waste of time. It's a waste of money. It's like, you don't need this. But now I view it more as like these few years of your life in uni are literally like it's free game. Like you could literally do whatever you want, right? Obviously, you should still try and for this degree or whatever. But like you're in a space with a bunch of people around the same age as you, and you don't know who's there. Like you don't know who you're gonna meet. So I almost view it as like a safety net plus like an opportunity to like go all in on like something like content or something and not have to worry about okay now I have to get a job, bro. Now I have to like take care of like my kids or something, like I don't have any responsibilities right now. This is like the perfect time to try stuff, and you're also around people around the same age as you who could be just as ambitious as you don't know who's at uni, right? So I view it as like that. Also, I think like a degree is just like it's a safety net. You know what I mean? Especially with like Asian parents as well. Me having like a degree would be nice to be like, okay, right, I got your degree now. I want to do what I want to do. In terms of my degree itself, I came in doing like I'm in a degree doing financial mathematics, right? Do I want to do financial mathematics the rest of my life? Probably not. If anything, like I think content creation has like brought this new like passion into my life where it's just like I think I want to take this further as far as I can, right? But I'm still gonna get my degree. I've got 1 year left, so I'm just gonna film it for the rest of the year, and then, then I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, that makes sense. And with or yeah, with boxing, like, do you have any goals for that, or is it just you want to take this content creation thing further, or kind of is it connected to get together?
See, it's funny you say that. I used to keep them separate, right? I used to never mention boxing at all in my content, even though I've been doing it for like years, right? I used to never mention it at all. I don't know why. I think there's like this like stigma in boxing when just like you just do the work, right? You get your head down, you don't want to tell anybody. But now I'm just like, well, these are two passions of my life. Why am I keeping them separate? And there's so much value in like this like student athlete kind of like niche. I was just like, why am I just like sitting on it? Why am I not doing anything? So that's why I've decided to like I'm gonna start talking about boxing more in my content while I put more effort into my content. In terms of like how far I want to take boxing, I'm an amateur boxer, right? At the moment, I'm not a pro. I don't get paid to fight. It's literally for like the love of the sport, right? But I want to take that as far as I can go as well. I want to go. I'm just gonna put my best into boxing.
And how long have you been doing boxing?
Uh,
Like, how did
so
it started? How did you get into it? Like boxing.
oh, bro,
That's pretty cool sport, honestly.
I started boxing when I was 16. So at the very end of like UK high school, because UK high school ends at like 16. And then you go into something called sixth form from like 16 to 18 or whatever, right? I started boxing at 16 because my friend beat me up. Because I've so we were on like we were just outside and we thought that like we just pick a fight and just see who would win, right? And I did not win. So I asked him, I was like, yo, how'd you do that? He told me about this boxing gym, and then I just stuck with it because I loved it so much. Because as a kid, I was never like an athletic kid. I was always like the last one picked in like football. So like to find something that I actually like a sport, because I've never been the kid to do sports. I was the least fit kid in my school. To find something I love, I think I found a passion in that. So I've been doing that for the past 5 years. So yeah, but I started as a pure beginner. I knew nothing about boxing when I started. The only thing I knew about boxing was like Mike Tyson, bro. But like everyone knows Mike Tyson, right? So I've been doing that for the past 5 years, but I've only been fighting for like the past two.
Okay. Makes sense. And what did it taught you about like discipline and all of those self-improvement stuff? Because like I think boxing is pretty tough sport and like it can teach you a lot, especially if you get like punched in the face like multiple times.
Yeah, I don't think anybody likes getting punched in the face. I think like what boxing taught me was just like, because at the time I was watching all these like self improvement videos and it was saying like you need to do discipline, you need to do this, right? And it's all good hearing about it, but I think actually doing it is a different thing and learning. And like what boxing taught me about life is that like what you put in, you get out what you put in. If you don't put in the work, you're not going to get anything back. And it's also just showing up when you don't want to show up, right? I don't want to go to training, but I know if I don't go to training, I might get beat up in the fight. So it's just those extra steps, you know. I think another thing, which is kind of like a niche bit of information from boxing that I've learned, there's like two kinds of fighters, right? There's the guy that like thinks too much, and then he starts freezing because he's thinking too much, and then he gets hit in the face because he's thinking too much, he's not doing. Then there's the other guy who just throws so many punches without thinking, and there's no technicality, you're just throwing, right? I think like in terms of content, like you got to be like in the middle, right? Because if you're just posting all the time, all the time, all the time, without thinking, without doing anything, you're just posting slop, basically, right? You're not putting any thought behind it. Who's gonna want to listen to this person who's like you're not giving them a reason to listen and stuff like that? All these things that are technical about content. But then there's the other guy who's thinking too much about content. He's just like, oh no, my hook could be better. No, this angle is kind of ass and stuff like that. And then you just end up not posting. And I've been on both sides of that. The best person is like, okay, right, let's think put a little thought into it, but I still gotta post, right? That's kind of like the middle ground that you want to be at, which is kind of niche, right? Because like you think like boxing and content creation, like how can that help
Yeah.
each other, right? But yeah, I think that's like my niche experience from boxing that I can share about content.
Yeah, and I agree. Like I call it like many people are. I don't know if anybody calls it like that, but the kind of like a quality quantity paradox because you want to be good, so you put in more time. But like if the perfectionism goes and you're not, you are never ready to post the video because there's always something that needs to be like improved. But at the same time, if you don't post, you will not improve and you just like sit on the video. But if you post like too much again, then as you said, you need to find the like sweet middle ground that there is like with like posting and making like have high standards, but at the same time like posting even when you don't want to or even like when something goes up basically, no. And I've in your videos kind of noticed that you're into cars and maybe even that's another niche thing. You bought your first car like few years ago and then like you had a crash or something that I was interested into like that story, like hearing that story and
Oh, bro,
all of that.
that's so cooked. So, my first car was just like your standard first car. It's like a small box, right?
Yeah.
And then I saw on Facebook Marketplace there was like this MX-5. I was just like, oh wait. I calculated in my head. I was just like, that's only a little more expensive than what I'm paying already. So I got this like cheap MX-5 on Facebook Marketplace. It was great, and I loved it. It was like my first like proper car, right? I was like, oh shoot, this is sick. And then what happened was I was driving home on the motorway, right? And it was like raining really bad. So I was scared of sliding out. So I was just like, I'm just gonna go slow. I'm just gonna go slow. But then my friend drove past me and like my ego got in the way. Then basically what happened was I aquaplaned or like hydroplaned. So like I basically slid out and I crashed the car. And that car lasted me like I think 4 months, bro. I remember saying to my friends, I was like, I'm gonna use this car until it dies, right? But I meant like die as in like when the engine
Yeah.
breaks down or something, not like crashing the car. But yeah, I am a little bit into cars. I'm not really. I kind of fell out of it now. Like I don't really. I still appreciate them, but I'm not really super into them anymore. Um, but yeah, that was my experience crashing my car, and I got a different car now, but it's like um, it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same as it used to be. I get it, I get it.
Yeah.
Then, like, to get back into the more of us, like, self-improvement, content creation stuff, how do you think about, like, creativity in your videos? Like, you said, like, you're more into, like, of finding the balance between the quantity and the quality of it. And how do you think about, like, making it different from, for example, or, like, the creativity aspect of it?
I think like there's different things I can say about creativity, but like to answer your question, I think what makes your videos unique or like stand out to like these like how do you make an idea like special is making it unique to you because like there's only one version of you. So like that story about like boxing or like whatever, that's unique to me. And maybe some people might relate to that, but what makes it special is you like giving the advice, right? These self-improvement people, right? They're all really giving the same advice from the same books, but they're just packaging it differently because they have their own story or like their own life XP to make it relatable. In terms of like creativity in general, how I find like creativity, like it's just it's gonna sound stupid, but just like getting outside, bro, and like touch grass. But like literally, I think creativity comes from entering like this flow state or like this like state of play. And if you like kind of force it, then you're not really gonna get into that naturally. So like there've been times where I've been sat down, I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna come up with ideas. I'm gonna come up with 10 ideas right now. I come up with nothing, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
trying so hard. Whereas like maybe if I start with like one like thought, I'll write it down instantly. And then like that thought could be like, I don't know, like sports. What branches of sports? What do that make me think of? Oh, boxing. Boxing. I do boxing. Oh, I used to hate football and stuff like that. Like the and like I can say something about like how like I don't know the best boxers are people who hated football or something, right? It's just like letting your mind enter into this like state of play, like enjoying it.
Yeah,
But
that's pretty good.
that's my advice.
I think like yeah, it's flow and I've got like into that too because all of those great performance that we see is like basically from flow and from like as you said the state of play, between like focus, like effortless and all of that stuff. So yeah, and with with you said mentioned like productivity and self improvement books. What do you think is the best self improvement book or the one that helps you the most?
I'm reading through Atomic Habits right now again. I think like if you've never read a self improvement book or anything, I'd read Atomic Habits because or actually there's this other book as well. My friend suggested to me. This is great. I wouldn't say it's a self improvement book, but it will help you get through other self improvement books. It's called 10 Days to Faster Reading.
Mm.
That's great. I only read through the first 5 days. Um, it is a great book. But yeah, Atomic Habits for sure. Um, now kind of, I think it's the best introductory book to understand these concepts, like building good habits, doing good things. Um, that's not like the be all, the end all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think everybody has like got into some self improvement, gone through like Atomic Habits because it's such a classic and like deserved like classic. Because yes, it teaches you about the power of like system of goals. 1% of improvements, how to like make a great habit. Because even like there's this quote that we are what we repeatedly do, so excellence is therefore a habit, and so that's it. Not like that's it basically with habits and all of that. But yeah, even like if I had to, like one of like my favorites was of course like Atomic Habits, and there are like a lot of different ones that even Imangaji was promoting that like a lot of people read. But the other one would be like, not the other advice would be just as as you're reading those atomic habits, like do it as you're reading it, because if you just I've had a big problem with that, that I read everything again, that I remembered nothing and I basically did nothing. That was my journey with that.
I think something from Atomic Habits that applies to content is like that 1% better, right? So I think that's like part of that, like that middle area that we were talking about. It's just like you're still pumping out these videos every day, which I think is like the quickest way to grow. Because you're just doing it all the time. But like maybe one video could be like, okay, let's try this kind of hook. Let's try this kind of like format and stuff like that. It's just like trying different things. And as you're doing it, as you're reading this book and you're trying these habits, I think that's how you like kind of cement that information into you by building your life XP. By like, okay, I know this because I've done it.
Absolutely. And I like there was this idea about content creation that yes, consistency doesn't have much like use if you don't experiment, because as we said, if you do the same thing over and over and over again, like you can expect like just to either blow up or just to like improve so much if you like do the same thing like, over and over, you know? So
Mm, yeah, 100%.
I think I like one of the last things I want to get to. You said like you've went through like this boxing content creation, and you mentioned like religion. And I'm religious too, so I wanted to like talk about it a little. Like, what was your journey and all of that. And I think you made a video even about it, like about your journey. So I think like you can share it, like if you want to.
Yeah, sure. I want to remake that video because it's so old. And like I don't like the way that I talk to the camera. But yeah, so I've always been like as a kid, my parents are Buddhist, but I grew up like basically atheist. I didn't believe in anything. Um, but I think this is maybe about 2 years ago now. Um, I injured my hand in boxing, and then I went to the hospital, right? And they were just like, "Oh, yo, like, you may have torn your tendon, and if you torn your tendon, that means you need to have surgery, and you're gonna have like 3 months without boxing." I was like, "Bro, I'm fighting in 2 weeks. There's no way I can have a surgery now. I'm fighting in 2 weeks." Um, but oh, it was 3 weeks, 3 weeks, and then they were just like, "Okay, well, give it 2 weeks for the swelling to go down, and then we'll see if it's actually torn or not." And like every day, like my hand was hurting so bad, right? And then I was just like, man, this is so cooked. Every day my hand was hurting. And at the same time, this was like a separate thing, not related to this. Like at the same time, I started reading the Bible. Because I was just like, I was just seeing all this stuff um, about like celebrities worshiping the devil and stuff. I was just like, man, why do they hate this Jesus guy so much? So then when I started reading the Bible, because I was just like, why? I want to know, right? So I was just reading through it, and it was like before um, the day before I was meant to go back to hospital, like at the end of the 2 weeks, right? I decided to pray. I've never prayed before in my life. I was just like, you know what, Jesus, I feel like you're real, bro, but I don't know. Could you just like tell me? Can you just tell me? And when I went to bed, um, while I was sleeping, I felt like the tendons in my hand moving. I was just like, yo, no way. But then, like, when I'm telling my friends, they're like, oh, that could be anything, bro. But when I woke up that day, it was the first day in 2 weeks that my hand wasn't hurting. I was like, yo, that's crazy. There's like no pain in my hand. Obviously, I went to the hospital anyways. And they said, whatever's wrong with your hand is fine. I was just like, that's crazy. So that's why I started believing, but I didn't really like get into it until maybe a few months after. But like that's when I started questioning things. I was just like, man, that's crazy. And I started reading the Bible maybe like properly after that. But that's really helped me through like boxing, like through times when I felt like, yo, like am I cooked? Am I or not? And like I was just like, I think my faith has really helped me through those things. Even like content, where I was just like, there have been a few times where I've been like, should I do this? Should I do this opportunity, or should I do this when like, and should I, associate with these friends in my life and stuff like that? I think like faith has really grounded me through those things and helped me keep like a level head, because I think a lot of people like get a fat ego, especially in self improvement, right? And it, like, because when I was like before I became a Christian, I was still doing self improvement stuff, right? But the thing about like self improvement is like you're doing these things, and you know, obviously you're improving yourself, but you also build like this fat ego. Well, at least from what I experienced, I developed a fat ego. So I was just like, I'm better than you, bro. I'm better than you. But then I think like if you want to like actually improve like your life XP, you can't be like you can't have a fat ego because that fat ego kind of limits you and holds you back. I think like my faith has kind of made me realize that like like I don't think Jesus would be happy with this ego like that. I don't think, and all these things,
Yeah.
and that's really what helped me through like a lot of things.
Yeah, like honestly, like I have a kind of opposite story because I've always like been a Christian mostly of my life, but it was always kind of my even parents like encouraged not encouraged me, but I always questioned it, especially when I got like realized that internet exists and all of those opinions from all of those people, and I think that there was like nothing wrong with that was even questioning, and I'm sure like even now you have like doubts and like like all people have. I think even like the most religious people, monks, have those, and like it just kind of when you questioned it and when you try to answer it, and even when you even pray like, oh, I don't know what this means, or I don't know how, like I don't understand something in Bible, that doesn't mean that it is wrong, or if it seems something unlogical, that doesn't mean that it's like necessarily wrong. Even it's just like I don't get this, like because a lot of those stories like are really very symbolic and like much more deeper than I realized when I was a kid, and maybe like other people realize. So like that was it basically. And even with content creation, like yes, like when you are in the self improvement stuff, even when you are like religious, you kind of build this ego of I need to be better than them, and of course comparing is always like, especially when you're young. So that's like most of it.
When did you like start to? Because you said you were always Christian, but then like when did you start to like kind of go deeper into it and like you know?
Basically, I had like my parents and like my dad like is like deep into it and had like conversations with my other siblings about it, and I got like more interested into that, and I started like asking him questions and listening to conversation that he had even like with other like people, because I go to church and all of it, and that was basically even like the time that I approached high school, or even like a year before that, 2 years before that, because I like kind of um, listened to all of these channels that were like atheist versus 20 Christians, and all of that
Yeah.
cool videos. And I started like, oh, this like person has an argument with this person, like, and they have a really good like argument to that and statement, and I don't know like what to, even as a Christian, what to say to that, or maybe I'm wrong, and all of it, and kind of like all of these thoughts in my head, especially like if I'm a little bit into AI and technology, so it goes like, oh, is this really the real thing, or like all of these like doubts in my head, and I was like pretty like, oh, what if I was born in a different country? Would I be still like a Christian? Like, would this like mean something? And that was the doubt in my head that, oh, if I was born like even like maybe like different in a different like little state, this butterfly effect, that this little detail could be wrong or could be different, like I wouldn't be a Christian, or I would be a different religion, and I didn't want it to like make that thought in my head, so I started looking into different religions and thinking about it and this and that. So that was basically the moment. I can remember the exact time, but that was the initial thought that, oh, what if like I was born like oh, what if something was a little bit different in my life, would then I be still a Christian? And if not, then like am I believing in God just because like my parents believed in it? And we have a community in city that believes in God.
Mm.
So that
Yeah,
was basically about
that's
it.
pretty interesting. Like before I became a Christian, I was dabbling in like spiritual stuff, and then I was just like, after I became a Christian, I was just like, man, why did I go into that? It was kind of like sus. Like, it was weird. Um, I know some people like into it, but like now I'm a Christian, it kind of throws me off. I don't really want to do those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is just like interesting kinda. Like I can talk to a lot of like people who are like not Christians, and they are all of the main problem with them was like, what if I know that this or this religion is right or not? Like that was kind of their main doubt, and were going into all of this meditation stuff that's basically Buddhist, and all of that stuff in the like wrong. And especially as a Christian, you may like do things that are kind of not aligned with like Christianity, especially meditation, because that's basically like kind of Buddhism and Islam, and like doing that in the right way is kind of important and all of that. So yeah, like it is like deeper than even I can like talk about, honestly.
Yeah, I feel you. I think then again, you're not expected to know everything.
Yeah.
Like you can't know everything. But yeah, it is interesting going into those conversations. But I'm always learning. You know, like you're always a student.
Yeah. Especially like being open-minded and like listening to all of those opinions and perspectives, like I think gives you a lot. Like especially like listening even to not the religious people, you know?
Mm,
Like
yeah,
at
for
least.
sure.
Okay. Like we are like hour and like 17 minutes in. I think that's pretty good time. And I want to thank you that you were on this call and you would like talk about content creation on UGC and all of that stuff. I think it was really valuable, and yeah, I wanted to thank you for being here.
No, thank you. Like this is my first experience like doing this type of thing. So like I think at first I was a little nervous. I don't know, you can probably tell. But like no, this is great.
Yeah, okay. And I wanted to thank to the like all of the people that watched like till here. I hope you had a lot of value about it. I would love to see all of your like comments and perspective on those things, and like see you at the next one, and hope I will have like another day we may like meet even in person and do a podcast like in person. That would be cool.
Oh, I'm down, that's sick.
Okay. Okay.
All right.